Because you stick off yourself.
Lucas,
Hello.
is the meeting still going?
No, I'm in court.
Lucas, what? Wait, for why?
We're charging this guy with some petty crimes, and he wanted a bench trial.
Oh, God.
He's gonna lose. It's fine.
What the hell was that, Lucas? Maxwell's not around. Den's not around. There was no one to hold down the LSPD, and you just sat there looking at clips on your phone, more than likely. Were you watching clips?
I was eating a roast dinner, sir.
You were eating a roast interceptor? What?
A roast dinner. A roast dinner.
A roast dinner. Yes.
Yeah, you know what they are, like English thing.
You were eating a roast dinner. No.
Yes.
What is that?
What's that? What do you guys celebrate?
A lot of things. Easter?
No.
Is it a church thing? Is it because Sunday?
It's like an American like
July 4th?
Thanksgiving. You guys have Thanksgiving dinners.
You are celebrating when you were trying to impose the royal will on the pilgrims that tried to leave the UK. Is that what that's? You guys have a fucking holiday for that?
No. It's just a similar meal. We just do it every Sunday instead of once a year.
What?
It's like you know how you guys have like a Thanksgiving meal? We have that.
What do you mean is it because you guys had like 200 colonies? Or like every colony you had like I don't understand. This is very confusing. Thanksgiving is about like historical things that happen. You know what I mean?
It's got nothing to do with the historical
Then why
stuff.
are you comparing it with Thanksgiving?
Because it's similar food. You know what a Sunday roast is? A roast.
So like you have turkey and mashed potatoes and green collars and, you know.
So replace the turkey for beef. Replace the mashed potatoes for roast potatoes. And then the vegetables.
How does this have anything to do with Thanksgiving?
It's like similar. It's
Red.
the closest meal
No,
you
it's
have.
not. No, it's not. What?
Oh.
Who's teaching you about America?
No one. But you think I know nothing about America?
Well, yeah, if you're comparing like a Sunday dinner with Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is like everybody comes around to like be thankful about, like America and taking land away from the indigenous people and getting away with it.
Who's the indigenous people? Didn't we give it to you guys?
What the fuck? Wait,
It's where we found America, no?
No?
Who's indigenous people?
The Native Americans?
Oh.
That
I thought we found America.
No. There was... Oh my God. Okay. So a long time ago, there was many British kings and queens, and eventually came the British Empire alongside the French Empire, the Spanish Empire. Portuguese had an empire too.
Our empire was pretty big now.
Christopher Columbus, alongside some other explorers, found a new land, which was known as North and South America. And there was a lot of riches and people that were indigenous to those lands. Well, what happened was all these different, explorers, they're like, oh shit, gold and other resources. So what they did is they started colonizing Canada, the east coast of North America, parts of South America, etc., etc., and they started killing the indigenous people and enslaving them.
That's not very nice of us. Holy.
Well, it wasn't just you. It was a bunch of different empires. Well, in regards to like the British Empire, there was like the multiple colonies spanning from what is today Massachusetts all the way down to like Pennsylvania and shit. And those colonies,
there was people there already.
Yeah, they were massacred. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like the Trail of Tears and all that. I mean, it wasn't just the British; it was multiple empires. And then so those colonies of like ex-British people They mostly left due to religious persecution, you know, Catholicism and what is it like? Oh my God, I'm forgetting the you know, it was like religious shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, I had to do with like, you know, Martin Luther and blah, blah, blah. But anyways, so they went to do their own shit. Well, eventually, the thing is, the British, as with most other empires, were expecting a tax from all the exports from the UK to their British colonies. And eventually, those British colonies, later known as Americans, were like, yo, fuck this. We ain't paying the tax, motherfucker. We left your ass, and we ain't paying for this tea. So they did the Boston Tea Party.
Is that why they chucked it in the
yeah,
water?
they said, suck my dick, bro. All right.
I went there. I've been in Boston once. I was at the harbor. It's kind of crazy.
Yes, that's where it happened. They dumped all the tea in there. Most of that tea was probably coming from India, which was like a different colony, but that's a whole nother thing because, you know, British had a lot of colonies. They like imported spices and shit and like teas and stuff. But anyways, they're like, yo, fuck this shit. I'm throwing it out. Like, if you think about it, the British Empire was kind of like, you know, a corporation. Like empires were more like corporations back in the day, right? Because they took all the stuff from, instead of importing from like China and stuff, it was like import the tea from India, some stuff from China, and then they like redistribute it. And then that's how they ate good, right? Because they were like the CEOs.
Before there was trade tax thing?
Yes, no, actually, it was literally, it's very similar. Like the relationships, it's just different titles, and there wasn't corporations, those empires, right? So anyways, so the colonies, all right, they're like, yo, fuck this this tax shit, and the British are like, nah, motherfucker, and so they came and started killing the colonizers, and the colonizers fought back, and you know that's where you had like, you know, the war started, and then we kicked all the redcoats out. The redcoats were the British because they wore redcoats, and then you had the Minutemen, which were like from Massachusetts, for example. That's why, like, you know, the Minutemen is like, you know, you see the thing with Pred where they're like, you know, they got the drums and it's like yeah, that kind of shit. So they're playing that in the background, and they're like murking all these British people. They're like, nah, we killed the Native Americans. This is our land. And British is like, nah, we paid you guys to do that shit so you guys could take stuff from the Native Americans and give it to us and pay the taxes. And so it was kind of like a fight over resources. So the Native Americans, well, what was left of them were eating popcorn in the background while the Americans and British are fighting. And the Americans won, and then came, you know, with George Washington and shit, and they made the Constitution of the United States, and that's when, the U.S. was born. And then eventually we started, you know, the Americans were like, oh shit, this actually works out pretty well. So we bought out the French, and we bought out the Spaniards, their colonies, and then we took more land from Mexico, and then we bought some land from Russia, and eventually we ended up with the 50 states. So,
oh my God.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to go for the 51st state.
Which is what? What do you mean?
Aren't you guys going for Canada?
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, because we became the empire.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, technically, you got, like, UK is one of our states. We just don't say it out loud. Because if you think about it, why do you think the British left the EU? Like, Brexit was a CI operative plan via propaganda. I mean, the UK being a part of the EU secures their borders more than when the US, but you kind of just like left on our behalf. Now you fight our wars, and like in a way you kind of do what we ask you to do. So it kind of like the story kind of flipped. You know what I mean?
So how come the US and the UK don't have beef? Because it seems like they were beefing for a while.
Well, they were, but during World War II, when like the Nazis were bombing like London and shit, because they had all the crazy rockets and they were like flying planes over it and whatever. The UK, who had like compared to the Germans, had like probably the next set of like best like scientists and shit. What they ended up doing is they teamed up with the United States, that was like deep into isolationism. That's why they didn't actually involve themselves with World War II right away, because we're actually benefiting from it, believe it or not. Like, it may seem like we were anti-Germany. Reality is we're making fucking bank on that shit. But eventually, you know, the UK had a pretty good deal, and we're like, all right, they're about to fall over. So with Churchill, there was a decision to move some of the other problem was that there was the Germans had a bunch of U-boats, which are like OG submarines. So even if we brought a bunch of ships over, U-boats would have wrecked everyone. But the British ended up doing a secretive deal in the middle of the ocean where they passed the two technologies made its way over. One was encryption technology, and the second was sonar. And so that technology was given to the Americans. The Americans built it up in secret and then gave some of that tech back. And that's when the U-boat started to get destroyed, because the sonar was able to like identify it in the water, and then they were able to, you know, destroy it all. And then the U.S. came through and were like, yeah, bruh. And then we started clapping motherfuckers with the French, with the British, and the other allies. And, you know, to our benefit, Russia was there was already beef with, you know, on the Eastern Front between Stalin and Hitler. And Hitler thought like he was a fucking like legend, so he started doing a two-front war. So he bled a shitload of his resources fighting like all the way up to Stalingrad, while we came from the other side. And then we clapped his cheeks until he, you know.
They had beef with like Russia too.
Yeah, well, originally Stalin and Hitler weren't like, they were allies for a while. But
Stalin, was he in charge of Russia?
Yeah, he was the yes, yeah, of the USSR technically. Yeah.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
You know, I learned more in this 12-minute phone call than I ever did in the history in the 5 years I went to school.
You went to school only for 5 years?
Well, no, like secondary school. You know, you only do history in secondary school.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
They don't. Well, I mean, to be honest, it's like, you know, history is kind of rough for, you know, the UK the last like 50 plus years, because you kind of lost like 90% of all the resources you used to control. So it's kind of, you know,
the UK kind of went into retirement, you know. I don't want to.
Well, I don't think it was really intentional, to be honest. It's that like the mainland UK was attacked and you couldn't maintain. That's where all the it's like 1942, 1943, 1944. That's where like, you know, all the colonies ended up breaking free. Everything from like India to all the, you know, the countries that were ruled in the Middle East. I mean, the same thing happened to the French. I mean, most of Africa was controlled by European empires.
So we didn't give the countries back. They broke free.
Yeah, they give it back my ass. No, in fact, the British are one of the main primary reasons that there's so much turmoil in non-Western nations, because there was I forgot what the fucking accords were. It starts with a B. So it wasn't even that. It was like the heads of the British Empire were like, haha, like if we can't have this, nobody can. So what they did is they created borders across ethnic lines, so that I think it was like, the Balfour Accords, I think, where they effectively said like, let's draw borders and separate countries so different ethnicities are across the borders, and instead of doing it across, like imagine like you know, I don't know, like imagine London got split in half, and they're like, you're separate countries, but one piece of London went to northern the United States or northern UK, and southern UK got the other half of London, right?
Kind of like Ireland, how they got Northern Ireland and you know, Ireland. Okay,
that's a bigger topic, which I'm not going to touch because that gets spicy.
That one's still a little bit
but it's not like Northern and Southern Ireland, like kind of, but not really. But no, actually, no, it would be like that, but instead of doing Northern and Southern Ireland, you split it horizontally, right? What's going to happen?
What does happen?
Bad things. Yeah.
You think?
Well, yes. I mean, yeah. I mean, okay. Well, look at the disputed territories between China and India, India and Pakistan, India and Bangladesh, the Kashmir issue,
wars, but like on a bigger scale.
Oh, it's significantly worse because when the USSR broke up, most of those like sub-countries actually made sense, except for the ones in Asia, Africa, etc., that literally were lines drawn intentionally, virtually intentionally, caused like almost, you know, endless conflict. But that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, but
wow.
You know, yeah.
You know what? How stupid you make me feel, Nino. You really make me feel stupid.
Why? What do you mean?
I don't know anything. Like,
did they not teach any of this in like school? Like,
do you know what it was?
Yeah.
Nino. So I'm dyslexic. I really struggle with reading and writing.
I have dyslexia and I have ADHD.
But because of that, I got put in like a really low English class. And then because I was in a low English class, I just get generalized as stupid. So like my geography classes, my history classes, I was with a bunch of people that like couldn't write. And it's like, yeah, I you know, I can't really write or read very well. But like I get everything, you know? I'm not stupid.
Well, I got mostly D's in high school and I barely didn't graduate. And then I went to college and I got kicked out because I just partied all the time. And then I found out because I was I took some special medicine extracurricularly and I learned I had ADHD and I went from failing out to getting a master's with magna cum laude. So what if you got ADHD and no one found out? I mean, that happens. You know, I'm diagnosed.
I get told I'm ADHD on a daily basis.
Well, have you gone to the doctor?
I've never been diagnosed.
Well, let's just say I learned calculus overnight.
Really?
Yeah. Because the thing is, Western countries are still based on their education system is still based on the industrial like complex, right? So the idea is you put the kids through it, you learn the basics, some of them pop out, the others end up working in the factories, right? So there isn't really any benefit to spend extra resources figuring out how people should and shouldn't be learning. So you kind of have to
end up in a factory.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're like, oh, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? He's like, quote unquote, broken. They'll just be in like, you know, like, they'll just end up going to the coal mines or something.
I should probably get tested.
It's not. I mean, it's you just fucking copay. See if you've got ADHD. You might. I'm serious.
I don't think they really like give medication in the UK like that. Like Adderall is like banned. I'm pretty sure.
You can't. Yeah, not over the counter.
I think Adderall is like a big no-no, like full stop.
I mean, it could be. It's effectively methamphetamine. But,
yeah, I've heard that.
I mean, I'm sure there's other things, but I'm just saying, like, for me personally, I thought I was just a dumb fuck. And even though, like, I knew how to do, I was really good at very specific things, but I couldn't pay attention. But it turned out that my mind learns so quick that I get exhausted, like, listening to somebody on a boring topic, so I never paid attention. But the moment I took that, I literally started learning calculus overnight. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, literally the night before, didn't go to class, read the entire like Calc 1, Calc 2 book, and I got like perfect scores. Like, so.
But how did you realize you were ADHD before taking?
No, I was using it to potty. Because there's no cocaine, so I just popped some Adderall instead.
Oh, okay.
And then no one wanted to go out, so I'm like, fuck, I got a final tomorrow. And then I'm like, holy shit, this is easy. But disclaimer, no one should self-do that. This is like a long time ago. You know, allegedly.
Yeah. Allegedly.
In make-believe, in role-play.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the lesson, Nino.
Yeah,
I really
see a
I've actually learned something.
Yeah, you know, see a doctor. Like, I mean, they got a thing, you know, like, I think more people got ADHD than they realize because no one fully knows how that shit works. Some of it's like chemical. I bet some of it has to do with how everyone's grown up looking at like TikTok and YouTube videos. So I think it's like cooked our brains to like be able to pay attention to something too long. But yeah. Anyways.
Thank you, Nino.
All right.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
You.
Enjoy the not turkey dinner.
Okay.
All right. Bye.